Piers Morgan video, I don't really like covering because it's usually arguments, but I'm pretty sure Mehdi Hasan will only go on there if he's got one single opponent. And his single opponent today is a MAGA Ghoul, Dan Crenshaw. Mehdi Hasan, classic, tears him apart. He comes off as a complete idiot. So I'm here for it. Let's get straight into it.
Mehdi Hasan, and Republican Congressman for Texas, Dan Crenshaw. Well, welcome to both of you. Been looking forward to you two locking horns in a Piers Morgan Uncensored debate, so thank you for both agreeing to this. Mehdi, I mean, you've had 50 days of Donald Trump's presidency. How are you coping? How's your spleen?
I don't know. I haven't checked my spleen. It's not great. I think those of us who warned that Trump would be chaotic, Trump would be corrupt, Trump would be autocratic. I think even those of us who warned that for much of last year have been surprised by just how corrupt, chaotic and autocratic he's been. I don't know if we're going to talk about what happened in New York on Sunday. That was pretty shocking with the detention and disappearance of a lawful permanent resident.
Yeah, we will later.
All the attacks on the press that you and I have discussed. You and I have discussed before the attacks on the press. This show is called Piers Uncensored. He's launched an open war on the media, on free speech, and of course the economy now. Again, I didn't predict that 2 months in, Trump himself would be refusing to rule out a recession. I knew he would harm the economy, but even Trump himself can't rule out a recession. So on multiple fronts, the economy, democracy, free press, it's pretty bad.
Dan, your response to that?
Well, if you're going to accuse somebody of corruption, you might want to give a little bit more detail, right? Or a war on free speech. I mean, what does that mean? These are just
What he just said. The undermining of the free press.
Words that actually do have legal meaning, but
That's all he has.
Don't have any legal arguments, so I don't know what you mean by corruption. There's really no evidence of that. War on free speech, there's just no evidence of that. There was evidence of it from the last administration, that's for sure. So look, this is
That's all he has is whataboutism. That's the theme of this video. He has nothing. His responses throughout this are literally nothing. Like Mehdi Hasan brings the evidence, arguments, receipts. This guy has nothing.
This is Trump derangement syndrome all over again. Now, if we didn't have
See? That's all they have. Bring the evidence of his incompetency. He's going to create a recession. Some say by design, so they can consolidate the wealth. The wealthy classically benefit from recessions. The average person does not. What's his response? Oh, you've got Trump. Like, no argument.
4 years to look at where the Trump economy actually did quite well. Trump tax cuts proved to be a boom to the economy. And even after a pandemic, Trump's policies were getting the economy right back on track so that when Biden took over, he was enjoying GDP growth as opposed to decline. Despite Democrats all over the country trying to shut down the economy and leftists all over the world trying to shut down the economies. So it's definitely overstated.
Leftists, see that? It just shows you that's all they care about is money. Like they say, leftists trying to shut their economy. No, leftists trying to protect people's lives from one of the most consequential pandemics of 100 years. Like America had most of the deaths, like highest deaths in the world. It's because they wouldn't shut down. So we're trying to protect people. All you care about is the economy.
The extent of these catastrophes by far. If you can say one thing about Donald Trump, he's going to make good on his campaign promises. So there should be no surprises here.
Did he on his first term? Really? Like, did he build the wall? Did he drain the swamp? Did he make America great again?
About how he thinks some trade practices are unfair. He uses tariffs as a negotiation tool to get better.
Which aren't working. Awful. Just gonna, oh my God, awful.
deals for the United States, whether that's trade deals or whether that's things he wants other countries to do, like Mexico, for instance, getting the border and going after cartels, which they are doing.
It's not working because he's trying to think, oh, they'll back down when I impose tariffs on Mexico or Canada. And they're like, yeah, bring it on. And he's like, oh, okay.
Doing. These things are working. So I think a lot of the sky is falling rhetoric is pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, Mehdi, I'm surprised that you're surprised that Donald Trump is being Donald Trump, or that, as Dan just said, he's largely delivering on exactly what he told the American people he wanted to do, and he won the election very convincingly. So when you say he's being corrupt, what is the actual evidence of corruption?
So let me deal with a few things there, because Dan brought up a few things. And it's funny that Dan's saying words like corrupt have legal meaning. Of course, they don't. They also have a meaning that everyone understands, and he knows this because he and his party accused Joe Biden of corruption for years. Hold on.
You look at the comments on this video, like classic conservative. There's no like conversation, analysis, like evidence. All it is like, and you'll see, why is Mehdi Hasan interrupting this guy? Mehdi Hasan doesn't interrupt him at all. It's this guy constantly interrupting him because he doesn't want Mehdi to talk because he's talking about facts and actually holding Trump to account. But the people watching this, they live in a literally alternative reality where they just see it flip the other around. And it's just makes you question, like, how do you deal with these people? They live on another planet. They talk another language. They don't accept reality. And then they say that to us. It's like, and they project that back to reality itself. It's like, it makes me like, how do you seriously deal with someone like this guy who, like, you'll see as the video goes on, real legitimate questions he is unable to answer. He just can't answer. Like, it's insane.
A long answer. No, I do mean corrupt. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you accuse, you and your party accused Joe Biden of many crimes which you couldn't find any evidence of. You accuse all sorts of
All they had was Hunter Biden's laptop. And there was nothing on it. Because if they had something, trust me, Hunter Biden would be in jail now. There was nothing on it. They were just obsessed with his cock. He had, pictures. It's just insane. Like, they have nothing. And this false equivalency, like, oh, Joe Biden... Donald Trump is known for his corruption, his fraud, is just bad business deals. He is corruption embodied.
All sorts of things about Hunter Biden and corruption, which pale into insignificance with what the Trump family's been doing on the crypto
DOJ
front.
Did. There's actually a case against Hunter Biden. What are you talking about?
Piers just showed an intro.
I can give you an example of
convicted criminal sitting in the president. If you're going to start signing.
Oh,
now we like the DOJ.
Student loans.
Well, no, surely the point. Hang on, look, guys. If I could just say, hold on. If I could just say, hang on 1 second. Guys, I would simply look.
Also brought the DOJ also indicted Trump.
I would ask you both.
The DOJ also multiple.
Can I just ask, if you talk over each other, nobody can.
See, Piers Morgan is a mouthpiece for MAGA. Mehdi did not talk over him. He spoke over him. Like, how do you deal with these people? I honestly, like, I think you've got to engage, but at a certain point, they don't care about the facts. They don't care about what Donald Trump is doing. Like, he can do anything. Like that famous line, he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. He could do anything. They don't care. All they care about is power. That's it to them. Power. They're in power, whatever. Like, they will justify anything Donald Trump does. And you can't argue with this. You can't have a rational argument with somebody like that.
Hear what either of you says, just to remind you.
Well, I didn't interrupt Dan.
No, but I just want to say this.
But he interrupted me 3 times in my first sentence.
Okay, look, just allow each other to respond.
Because you acknowledged, because you pointed at me. All you asked you were asked a simple question. What are the legal charges of corruption against Donald Trump? Go.
I didn't say anything about legal charges. The person who has well, there are many legal charges against Donald Trump. He's using the DOJ to make them go away, as you know, in a corrupt fashion. Piers showed us a clip at the top of the show. I don't think an American president has ever done what Donald Trump did yesterday. His top donor gave him hundreds of millions of dollars during the election. The New York Times is reporting that he just gave another $100 million to Trump political operations. And the president went out on the south lawn of the White House and turned the White House into a car dealership so he could help his top donor sell cars. I mean, that is astonishing on on multiple levels. I've criticized Republican presidents in the past. I can't think of a single Republican president who's done something that's so corrupt and pathetic on Musk's behalf, by the way. But
Oh, deeply pathetic. And what would it? I mean, his response is pathetic, but like, he doesn't care. Like, these people just don't care. Like, if Biden did that, imagine Biden did that with any company like that. They'd be going insane. But they haven't. They are shameless. Like, you can't shame these people. Like Donald Trump, like, he has no shame. You can't use like any terms, like any morality or integrity. They just anything that your average person would live by. Like, they'd never do that. Like, so brazen.
corrupt on Trump's behalf to do that for a donor, to sell cars on the White House lawn, to put out tweets saying, I'm buying a Tesla. Yeah, for your top
Pathetic,
donor.
pathetic.
If Joe Biden had done it, you would be screaming from the rooftops, as with your party.
Like, it's such a pathetic response. It's laughable. Like, you couldn't even satirize it. Like, the idea that people are boycotting Tesla, sales are going down across the world, and like Donald Trump's just going to buy one. Even though he doesn't drive, he can't drive, he's going to buy one. It's so pathetic. Like, oh my God. Like, we need to be mocking this. We need to be laughing at it. Just go like, these people are deeply pathetic.
You'll be filing articles of impeachment. So give us a rest on the kind of patronizing stuff about exact language. Corruption is
exactly
at
the
the
same
core
kind
of
of
this
thing.
Trump White House. Look at the
Doing
crypto money. The guy is
favors
running.
for
The guy
your
just
people who are your
Dan. The
supporters
guy
is not
just
corruption.
pardoned. The guy just pardoned a crypto guy who the DOJ was investigating, who's put money into the Trump family crypto scheme. We could go down the list of all the various corrupt things he's done. On free speech, by the way, he's called for multiple journalists to be fired. President shouldn't be calling for columnists. Do you support him calling for Eugene Robinson to be fired? Do you support him calling for MSNBC to lose its licenses because he doesn't like it? I mean, this is absurd. No president has gone around and attacked journalists in the way that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have attacked journalists.
Well,
Elon
actually,
Musk
the biggest
the top
attack.
guy in your
Well,
administration.
actually, before I go to Dan,
Elon
hang on, Mehdi,
I need to
don't
finish
keep
my
talking.
point.
Before I
Elon
go to
Musk
Dan,
called. No, I'm going to finish
actually,
my point.
the president.
I'm going to finish my point. Elon Musk called for CBS journalists to be locked up in prison. Does Dan Crenshaw support the locking up of my fellow journalists?
All right.
Will he answer this question? Let's see.
I'm going to come to Dan. I'll come to Dan now.
I don't
Dan,
even remember
respond
Elon
to
saying
all
that.
that.
But political first of all,
Well, he did
political
say it.
rhetoric
Whether you
is also
remember or
free
not is
speech.
irrelevant. He said it, Dan.
I'm
Oh, I
not
don't
Elon
remember it.
Musk.
That's going to be
That's it. Wow.
your defense. He said it. Well, he's the head of your government right now. He's the top guy.
He's a person who has the same rights to free speech as you do.
That's it. Nothing. Wow. Like, these people have nothing. Like, it's insane that, like, how this conversation, this is a representation of, like, reality on one end and just power, just corruption, like shamelessness, just ego. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Okay, and Democrats
Do you support him calling for the locking up of journalists? I said there's a
Just whataboutism. That's it. Like, he can't answer it. Just whataboutism. Well, it's like, just answer the question. Like, but he is unable to criticize Trump. Like, MAGA never criticize like anything. They just can't criticize Trump, even though there's so much to criticize. They're just like, no, he's fine.
Or on
Locking
free
up
speech.
of
You said there
journalists unless
wasn't.
they break
I
law, just
cited a
like
guy
I
in
don't
your
support
government who's called for the
you,
locking up of
just like
journalists. You wanted receipts. I gave it to you.
I asked you for what you mean by corruption. You gave no legal arguments. So for you,
Just nothing.
corruption just means exactly what every president does, right? Which is supporting their.
Hold on.
Their
I'll give you an
supporters.
argument right now. I think, yes, I would like a Department of Justice that stopped pardoning people who have given money to Donald Trump and his family.
American homeowners are
I'm not
to
here to
prevent
defend
criminal
Joe
inquiries
Biden.
into
Dan
them. I mean,
Crenshaw's here
this
to
idea it's only Trump that would do that.
Dan Crenshaw's.
See, just whataboutism. That's it. They can't actually directly. Trump is president now. Like, directly talk about the conflict of interest, the corruption, the just brazen favoring of Elon Musk, his companies, Tesla, SpaceX. Like, this is a serious thing. Like, why can't they just talk about it? But it's because they know the hypocrites. And they don't care. They never care. Because they do literally think it's different rules for them.
Dan Crenshaw's here to defend Donald Trump. You know, Piers, that I have many criticisms of Joe Biden, and one of them is, yes, his family and Hunter Biden. But what Joe Biden did pales into insignificance with what Trump has done in two.
Always false equivalency. Always. Like perceived hypocrisy, projection, false equivalency. They can never own what Trump does.
I mean,
all right, but let me ask Dan. Dan, on the
Elon Musk role. Elon Musk is an unvetted head of a government department.
Okay, let me ask Dan. Dan, when you saw the scenes on the White House lawn there, did you feel entirely comfortable for the reasons that Mehdi said? You've got someone who donated hundreds of billions of dollars, obviously, to Trump. He pretty much helped get him elected. He's now in there as an unelected guy with enormous power, it seems, over this DOGE thing that he's doing, popular with some, unpopular with others. But turning it in, as he said, to a Tesla sale room, did you feel comfortable that the White House was being used like that?
Let's see what his answer is. Let's see if he can criticize Trump, and let's see what the answer is here.
I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't feel uncomfortable with it. Look, first of all, let's say something.
It's pathetic. Truly pathetic. Like, just imagine Biden was doing that. It's just like, they just don't... It's, how do you even say this? Like, they don't care about anything. And when I say they have no values, I don't mean like they've just got bad values. They just have no values. Like, they don't value anything. Like, they will just say they value this, like, oh, family values, like, the American people. And it's like, they don't even care about the American, like, on some levels, do they care about money? Like, Donald Trump is going to trash the economy. Yes, I suppose it is about money. It's all about money because the wealthy will get wealthier through a recession. But it's just, it's so illogical. Like, it's just frustrating.
Every single person in the administration is unelected, and they have a great deal of power. The only person who's elected is President Trump. So everyone works for President Trump. I think there's a really strange sort of villainization of Elon Musk. Oh, he has too much power. He has this.
A strange villainization of a villain who Zeke Hiles is a neo-Nazi, who is a terrible person, terrible father. Yes, he is being villainized because people hate him, rightly so. He's not a good person. He's the shadow president now. He's unelected and he has this huge power and no oversight. And people are going to be impacted by this. The average American potentially will lose Social Security, Medicaid. They will be worse off. So yeah, we have the right to villainize an idiot who is a villain. He is a villain.
Is whatever power the president decides to give him. First of all, let's say that. Also, there's a long history and precedent for presidents bringing in their supporters to the White House. Joe Biden gives out medals of freedom or whatever those things are called to various celebrities who have helped him, to various big donors like the Soros family who have helped him. How is this any different? Now, you could argue you don't like it or do like it, but there's a ton of precedent for it. Every ambassador to
ton of precedent of like companies just selling their wares on the lawn of the White House. It happens all the time. And, you just have, in the Oval Office, you'll have the president and you'll just have the shadow president just talking there with his child. Happens all the time. Happened with Obama, happened with Biden. Yeah, it's just normal. It's just normal.
Let's talk about the ambassador in the United Kingdom. It is every single time. It is not somebody who's been at State Department for a long time. It is always somebody of the president's choosing. That's who it is. It is usually someone who is friendly with the president. Does that make it corrupt? I don't know. It's not legally corrupt, but that is what happens. Okay. It's normal for every president, and you're just making you for some reason see it through a different lens when Trump does the exact same things that Biden would do.
Mehdi, let me.
What? Like, Biden hasn't done any of this. Like, what is he talking? It's always whataboutism. Like, what has Biden done? Like, is George Soros in the Oval Office telling him what he's going to do? Like, what the hell is he talking about?
Let me ask you about Elon Musk.
Biden having people at the White House.
Hold on, can I respond?
Well, Mehdi, I would ask you this. But Mehdi, do you have, intrinsically, Mehdi, do you have a problem with Elon Musk and the DOGE campaign to eradicate federal government waste, superfluous spending?
Right.
Do you have a problem intrinsically with the concept of what they're doing?
So This keeps happening now. Dan says something and then you add something, so I can't deal with multiple things. I'm going to deal with Dan first. Dan says that this is all normal and we have precedent for it. Dan's being disingenuous. Elon Musk is running a government department. He is not vetted. He has not gone through Senate confirmation hearings like cabinet officials and ambassadors. George Soros has never led any kind of government department. If he did, Republican heads would explode. He's never run anything in government, nor is Alexander Soros. Musk is literally standing next to the president. He is telling cabinet secretaries what to do. He's attending cabinet meetings. They're going to court.
Shameless.
Dan's not telling you this, but there's literal court cases going on right now to determine the status of Elon Musk and DOGE. And by the way, government lawyers are telling the judges he's not the head of DOGE. Donald Trump stood in front of Congress and said he is the head of DOGE. Maybe Dan can tell us today if Elon Musk, who hasn't been vetted by Congress, is the head of DOGE. What's so sad to see is members of Congress like Dan just completely abdicating their responsibilities as a co-equal branch of government and deferring to both Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That's kind of embarrassing to see. And I haven't finished my point. I didn't interrupt you. So when I finish, you can come back in. I know it's 2 against 1, so let me deal with Piers now. Piers,
it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. You've just took his side each time. You're not listening to, like, it is 2 against 1. You love Trump, Piers.
Yes, I have a problem. Well, we're both throwing stuff at me at the same time, so let me deal with them. Yeah, poor me. It's fine. I'm used to it. Piers is asking me about DOGE. Let me deal with DOGE. DOGE is a joke of an outfit, right? Do we all want to get rid of waste in government? Of course I do. I did a long monologue on my show about why we should deal with the Pentagon, which fails an audit every year and wastes billions and trillions of...
Yeah, they won't touch that though, will they?
...dollars, right? I want to deal with corporate welfare. I want to deal with people who, con the government. Of course.
Yeah. Corporate welfare, all the billions of dollars that Musk has had. Why does he get that? Why do companies, like big companies, get that? Monopolies. Why? Small businesses don't get that.
Yes, we do. But that is not what DOGE is doing, right? DOGE is a joke, chaotic outfit. It claims to have found fraud, Piers, not just waste, fraud. And yet Dan gave me a lecture on precise terms. Fraud? Has anyone been charged with fraud? That's a crime. Elon Musk has found no fraud. Because if he had found fraud, people would be arrested or charged by the DOJ right now. We've seen no evidence of fraud. So that's been a lie from Musk. As for waste, you know this, Piers. You've talked about it on the show. $8 billion they claimed to have found. It was $8 million. They said they found $250 million of waste.
Yeah, on the DOGE website, they've been massaging the receipts like, it's pathetic. Like, it's so incompetent. And this is fascism. Like, it will implode on itself, but it's just so brazen. Like, it's almost unbelievable.
Social Security Administration, it was $500,000. They triple counted a $665 million contract. The Wall Street Journal, that lefty bastion, has found so many mistakes and exaggerations in what they found. They've been absolutely harming the US government. They got rid of people who were looking after nuclear weapons and then tried to hire them back. They got rid of people who were trying to fight Ebola and then tried to hire them back. They got rid of people who were trying to fight bird flu and then tried to hire them back. They fired veterans at the Department of Veterans Affairs who were manning the crisis line for veterans. Dan is a veteran, served the country, should be outraged. And then they tried to hire them back too. The whole thing is a disaster and a joke.
Okay, Dan.
But he doesn't care what's his response going to be. We know what it is. He has no response to this stuff because he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about the American public. But let's end on this. Let's see what his great response is. I'm sure he's actually going to directly address the points that Mehdi... Because they always do. Conservatives love addressing points, evidence, don't they? They love it.
I want to say one thing about the having automakers at the White House. You know, in August of 2021, Joe Biden was...
He just can't answer it. That's it. It's always a whataboutism. Like, ask a direct, like, really legitimate question. No answer. Just like, oh, no, I want to talk about Joe Biden. No, we're talking about Donald Trump right now. He's the president, and he's acting in a very corrupt manner that is harming the American public. They got... I mean, let's continue.
Had a bunch of automakers celebrating electric vehicles at the White House. He left out one in particular because he's not a political ally. He left out Tesla, one of the biggest makers of EVs. So, again, this stuff happens.
Actually, not one of the biggest. Actually, one of the smallest. There's plenty of companies that way more, like Toyota, make more EVs. Like, actually, not one of the biggest, ironically. One of the, well, not anymore, was one of the most valued. Not so much now, has gone down 50% since December, which is amazing to me. I love it.
As far as like what DOGE's role is, and then I want to get into what Congress's role is here. So
yeah, just can't. We're going to end there because he's not going to answer the question because he can't. because he doesn't care. They don't care. They're shameless. All they care about is power, money, and will the American public wake up to this? I think they will. I think they will. And I think in this time next year, we're going to be in a very different place. So hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.